Hey everybody, welcome back to My Car Shop. Today, we're back on the 26 Oakland project, getting ready to stain this other wheel and get it ready to finish and put back on the car so that we can move the car around and get the back wheels off. And, well, we just got a lot of stuff to do. So rather than me standing here yakking, why don't you spend 30 seconds, watch the show intro, and I'll see you on the other side. I'm Mike, and this is My Car's Shop.
Working out of a 100-year-old refurbished barn, bringing 35 years of experience to projects considered beyond repair. Vision, creativity, and problem solving are essential tools in this place. Watch as we transform junk into polished metal miracles. This is My Car's Shop.
I know it's a bit of lather, rinse, and repeat. We've done this on one wheel already and it's on the car, but this is work that needs to be done, and I really am trying to share with you every step of the process. So while we didn't get every detail of sanding and cleaning and so forth, I still want to share as much as I can with you. I've actually spent a fair bit of time today making a neatness in the shop, and I apologize for that, but I couldn't take it anymore. It's been a good day. It's been a fairly quiet day, only a couple things to deal with work related, and so that's been good, and made a lot of progress in here. More to come for sure. Mark and I were already chatting this morning about some plans that we have to really take the shop to a new level when he gets back and has some time, so that's exciting, and I'm looking forward to that. The shop has never been what I really wanted it to be, and it's time to take it to the next level, so we're going to do that. Anyway, Oakland. We're here about the Oakland. Focus on the Oakland. 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 One interesting thing to note is some of the dark staining in here on the wood, and it is staining, although I think it's going to add nice character. What this is from over the years of the car being parked, 75 years basically without the wheels turning. The grease started in the wheel bearings started to liquefy. In other words, the kind of the high ends, if you will, which is not really, but anyway, some of it turns to real jello and tar, and then the liquidy stuff kind of runs out, and it ran out and kind of stained the wheels a little bit. I actually have cleaned that up quite a bit and taken a lot of that staining out, and I feel comfortable with the way it is now. I'm just going to leave it. I don't want to get too carried away and take a chance on drying the wood out too much. So we're going to go over it with the pre-stain again like we did the other wheel, and just bang this out, get this wheel done, and get the stain put on it as per last time. So hopefully it turns out about the same. And fortunately these are on the opposite sides of the car, so I have a little bit of chance of making sure that the staining pitch, darkness is correct. Now remember, we haven't put polyurethane on anyway, so if one of them turns out darker or lighter, we have plenty of time to make adjustments as needed to make sure all the wheels are close. Not a big problem at all. It's just a typical woodworking thing, and most of you guys know more about that than I do because I'm a metal guy and not a woodworking guy, but I can throw some stuff on and do some stuff, and it'll be like it had stuff done to it. So as I said, it's a bit of lather, rinse, and repeat, but the pre-whatever stuff, pre-stain stuff is on there now, and it has to set for about 15 minutes. Then we wipe it off, and we will then be able to go ahead and put the stain on and get it to match that wheel over there, which you can't see, but that's okay. So I'm pretty confident, even though the humidity and the temperature's a lot different today, I'm pretty confident that it's going to turn out just like that. So it's gonna look good. I can already see that the English is my second language apparently. The pre stuff is already kind of blending some of that dark staining a little bit. It's gonna look really cool. I like it. I like it a lot. I have a sharp object. I'll try to be careful. So before I went up to work on my house up north, we had called Wayne Koffel about an oil pan for the Oakland, and we got one here. So I haven't even opened the box yet. It's been here a couple weeks, and hopefully this is the right one. And so I'm opening it with you so you can see it. Isn't it frightening to see me with a sharp object in my hand? Whew. I'm trying to figure out if it's gonna, I don't know, I'm looking at that oil pan over there going, I don't see how it would fit in this box, but looks can be deceiving, so smells right so far. It's kind of like Christmas. More stuff. Well, it smells right. Looks right. It's been patched a little bit, but it doesn't have any holes in it, so that's good. I'm just gonna store that over there. Yep, no holes in it. Oh, there's one. Very minor hole, we'll fix that. Yeah, much less work here to fix this than the other one. And very nice. A lot of rust in here, but we can get that out of there, no problem. Get her cleaned up and put the new screens in it. It is a bit of a lather, rinse, and repeat from last time, because we already kind of did some of this work on the other oil pan by soldering and removing and just stuff. So we got more stuff. But this time we'll move forward. There's a couple little holes I'll take shut. I see one. Said it's been patched, but that doesn't bother me. It looks like it was done well. The thing I like about it is the bung here. Well, you can tell it's probably been rebrazed. It was done very well compared to the kind of the booger job that was done on that one. So I'm gonna bring that other oil pan over here and do a little side-by-side on it. Definitely the right pan. Yeah, doesn't have a big dent in it either, and I'm happy with that. So overall, we'll get this cleaned up, get the rust out of it, get the screens on it, and maybe by next Friday when Dad's back, we'll be able to get this oil pan on there. I'm comfortable with it, like I said. The other thing that I've decided I'm going to do as I have some time, I want to go ahead and take this oil pan and cut it up and put a new bottom on it, put a new bung on it, and get it all fixed up with the new screens in it. We may eventually put it on the car. We may, which I'm leaning towards because it's the original one off the car, or just keep it on the shelf in case we need it, or we could sell it to try to recoup some of the expense we have into the project. So we have options. Options are good. But yes, it's I'm looking here and I'm seeing about 50 holes, so we would really need to cut off, you know, as I said before, a big chunk of the bottom of this pan. But I know a guy who's pretty good with metal, and he could probably do something with this. So we'll have to talk to him and see if he's open to doing that. Looks like we need a new drain plug. That one's a bit mucked up, but it's really cool that there are guys like Wayne around who have parts for these old cars. You know, you can't expect to get something that's new. You can't expect to get something that's not going to need a little work. But the fact that we can get it is just incredible. And you know, it did save a lot of time. Like I said, I will do the repair on this at my leisure, which means I'll probably never do it, but I can dream. The guy's got to dream once in a while. What good is life if you don't dream? Looks good. Everything's dried up here. It's been 15 minutes. Just wiping it down a little bit. Like I said, lather, rinse, and repeat. And you'll probably get to see this a couple more times, although I'll share less and less detail each time. All right, so we're ready to put some stain on this wheel. On this wheel, yeah, we're going to put stain on the wheel. Wow. I will re-emphasize that with the stain, it is not like James Bond. It is stirred, not shaken. Shouldn't be bad, it's brand new, but just like to give it a little bit of a stir. We're soot. Woo! We're good to go. So we're gonna set a timer for 10 minutes or so and let that do its thing, and then we'll wipe it down. And we've got a wild hair in there. Long dark hair, I don't know whose that would have been. Don't know anybody with long dark hair, dude. So yeah, we'll let that soak in, we'll wipe it down, see where we're at. But 10 to 15 minutes, and should look really nice. Should match the other one. I can tell already it's starting to fade out just like the other one did. And I just did one heavy coat just like I did that. So it came back to me. I didn't go back and look at the other episodes. So if I'm wrong, you can go back and look and tell me. But I'm not going to listen anyway. By the time you tell me, it's going to be too late. But I'm confident it's going to be fine. Just got that hair out of there, so I want to take that, darken it up again and let it go. All right, I will be back in 15 minutes for me, but probably instantly for you. So it's been 12, 13 minutes and it's time to start moving forward. First thing I'm gonna do is blow out all the excess, and then we'll wipe it down, set it out in the sun to let it dry. Just for a little side-by-side comparison, the one I just did here is just ever so slightly darker than that, and I expect that because it's still wet. So as that dries out in the sun, it's going to look perfect, and quite frankly, it looks 95% perfect anyway. So that is going to be one sexy wheel once we get the black touched up, paint that center hub, and so forth. That is going to look killer. Very, very pleased with the way that's looking. I'm not going to bother slipping the tire on it, of course, because it needs to dry, so let's take it out in the sun and go from there. Yeah, so it's out in the sun drying, and we'll leave it out there for the rest of the day. I'm going to continue on here doing some cleanup in the shop, but I wanted to take a couple minutes to talk about what's next. So as we've talked before, we need to get the oil pan on, get the screens, all of that. So that'll be the next thing. The other thing I need to do is find out on this engine which is the oil pump out as far as the flow, and which is the return. I suspect that the one line that goes up to the top of the oil filter is the output or the pressure line into the filter, and the bottom one is the return back into the block. That kind of would make sense, that the return line would just come right out of the bottom of the filter, but I need to determine that for sure. And then of course there's a T at the very top where it tees into the oil pressure gauge in the dash. That T is still on the other oil filter. So once the new oil filter gets here, I'll determine for sure how it needs to go, and I'll probably make a quick phone call to Wayne Koffel just to make sure that I'm correct on my assumption there. I may have an oil flow diagram in my books. Chris, if you're watching, maybe if off the top of your head, don't look, but if off the top of your head you know which one is the oil feed and which one is the oil return on the oil filter, that would be great. And I did want to clarify something about that oil filter if I haven't said it before, so I'll be right back. Rob, I was just thinking you might know also on your 30 or 29 Oakland that you have. But I did want to clarify something on this, and I just noticed it's got a rust hole in it, but that's irrelevant. If you have one of these original filters, get it off of there. What can happen is it's got a paper element inside, and this may be the original oil filter on this car. We don't know. But what happens is the paper element inside will deteriorate and start to break down and pass out of the oil filter and into the galleys and plug up the oil galleys in the engine and then starve bearings, and you'll ruin your motor. So I can't emphasize that enough. If you have one of these on your car, take it off, throw it away. You'd be better off not having an oil filter than running that. You'll see what we purchased. It's not exactly this. There is a Chinese knockoff of this filter that you can buy, and it's the same thing. It's a throwaway part. So you put it on, you use it for so long, and then when you need to replace it, like I think they're saying every 30,000 miles, so that would be like every, I don't know. I don't remember what, but it would be like every multiple oil changes, say every 10 oil changes. I don't want to do that. I want to replace the filter with every oil change, especially as dirty as this motor is inside. So it's something to be very concerned about. So again, if you have one of these on your car, get it off of there, because you can ruin your engine if you keep it on there and that paper element deteriorates. What I want to do in the ideal world, and maybe I've said this, maybe I haven't, I'm keeping this around because I want to put my great brain to work on this and figure out how to cut this apart and make it serviceable and be able to put a serviceable oil filter inside of it, so that I could put the original one back on. Will I ever do that? Probably not, but it's a dream, just like cutting the bottom of the oil pan off and fixing that someday too. Probably never happen. So that's just my thoughts on the oil filter. So if I hadn't said that before, I got it's a Fram oil filter with a replaceable cartridge that looks similar to this that we'll be putting on the car. It's not exactly factory, but it's close to this, and it's going to do the job. So if that ever shows up, we'll show you that. And just in looking at this, I'm 90% sure, because the oil pressure gauge feeds off of here. Pretty sure this is the inlet and this is the outlet. So 99.999% sure that's the case. So as I said, we got one little pinhole right here in the pan. I think what I want to do with this is TIG braze it. So I don't have any TIG brazing rod. I think that's going to be a much better way to go than this has all been soldered, and I get that. That's fine. It'll work just fine. But I want to use the newer technology and just go ahead and TIG braze this shut. Part of it is I just like using my TIG welder, and I don't get to use it enough. But I got to pick up some brazing rod for the TIG. Some of that, can't think of the type of rod that it is. But anyway, it's for TIG brazing. So we'll pick some of that up, and that'll take a whole, oh man, I bet it'll take 10 or 15 seconds to fix that. So much better shape. And then we'll get some chemical in here to eat this rust out, make sure there's no other pinholes, and get some screens on it. So well, that's going to do it for this episode of My Car Shop. I sure appreciate you being here, and I hope you're enjoying the progress that we're making on the 26 Oakland. Obviously, there's a lot, and it's tedious work, time-consuming work, but obviously well worth it. We've got to do it right. We want to get these wheels done right, get them back on the car so we can roll it around. And of course, we want to be firing that engine up, but unfortunately, we're a little further away from that than what I had hoped at this point. As soon as the oil filter gets here, that's going to be a big step forward. And so I'm going to check on that order status. I'm not sure where that's at right now. One other thing that I did want to mention, at least on the Model T, but I know it's true of everything in this vintage, If you have wooden spokes that are loose but not rotted, in other words, the wood is just dried up a little bit and they're a little bit loose, Ford Motor Company's recommendation is to drive your car in the creek and let the water from the creek water, let the water from the creek swell the spokes back up. So, you know, it was a different time, definitely. But that's very common on a lot of these old wheels is, you know, if they're really dry, as long as they're not dry rot, as long as there's nothing wrong with them, you can put moisture back in them just by soaking them in water. These are in good shape. I was concerned that we were going to have to take the wheels apart, but of the two we've done so far, we don't have to. They're in real good shape and we're good to go. You would be able to tell if that wood had a problem. Well, I appreciate you being here. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. Hit that bell so you receive those notifications. Tell other people about My Cars Shop. It's youtube.com/mycarshop. Pretty easy to remember. Cars is spelled with a K, as you know. So tell other people. We are on Instagram and on Facebook, /mycarshop. I try to keep it real simple, not for you, but for me, because I can't remember crap. Thanks for being here. Once again, please spread the word. I'd appreciate that. Let's see if we can continue to grow the channel, because the more we grow, the more I'm going to be able to offer you. That's going to do it for today, guys. Rock on!